Now, last year, Apple introduced iOS 8, and iOS 8 was more of a visual change, changing the way things looked. And it made other changes under the hood as well. But iOS 9 is focused on bringing stability and just overall speed enhancements to iOS 9 while adding some features that should have been in a long time ago. But it's going to jump right into it and see what new things are going to be happening with iOS 9 and how are they going to make your iPhone and your iPad a little bit different. Now, starting with the iPhone, if you swipe down from the middle of the screen, you still have access to that search bar. It's the same way it was in iOS 8. But now if you swipe over from the left to the right, you're going to see not only the search bar, but also more information like Siri suggestions. So these are going to be suggestions coming from Siri that are based on where you are and how you use your phone and when you're using the phone. So it'll have about 4 or so different apps that you may want to use at that time, and also people that you may want to get in contact with. And below that, you'll see a section for nearby places, and it's going to be categories ranging from parking to fast food restaurants. And then once you tap onto those and one of those pages, it'll actually open it up in Apple Maps and give you directions for it. And then at the bottom, you have news, which is basically news. And then in the notification center, things haven't changed that much, but you do have a section for batteries, and it'll give you the battery life information about all the devices that you have connected with your iPhone, like an Apple Watch or possibly headphones in the future. All right, so moving on, multitasking with iOS 9 on the iPhone. It's not as robust as it is now on the iPad, which I'm going to show you here in a little bit, but it is better because all the different applications that you have open, you can now see everything that's going on within that app. So you can see more information, and even if you're playing a video on Instagram, that video will continue to play as you swipe back and forth through all the different multitasking panels and choose which app that you really want to go into. So it's just bigger and better. And also built into iOS 9 is their proactive assistant. And this basically is iOS 9 learning your habits and learning what you do. So say in the morning time, you like to go for a run and listen to a certain playlist. Well, it will learn that time what you're doing. And so as soon as you put it in your headphones, it'll go ahead and have that playlist ready for you to play. And another example of this today is that I got on the phone with somebody that I've been having multiple emails with. And in every email, they've had their phone number in there at the bottom. So now when that person actually called me or I called that person, it will actually say, hey, this could be this person. And it was the exact name of the person that had been emailing me. So it can look through your emails and try to see if it can find that number and try to match a name to that number. But now moving on to actually specific apps in iOS like Notes, which is one that I use a lot. Now the first change you will notice is that there's a little plus button right above the keyboard on the right hand side. And if you tap that, you'll see a few new options available for you in Notes. And the first one all the way on the left will allow you to basically add like bullet points or to make checklists very easily. So every time you hit return at the type in, it'll make a new bubble. But then the next button to the right of that is the formatting button. So you can use this to make your text bold or underlined. And you can also change the bulleted list to a dash list or a numbered list and things for when you're typing. And then you have a camera button, so you can take a picture with the camera right there or add a picture that's already in your photo library right to the notes. And then you have this little squiggly line here, which is basically where you can draw things. So they have a marker, they have a pencil and a pen, and also an eraser. Then they have this nice ruler that you can use to make very straight lines. You can have all these things going on inside of one notes, and this is really making notes just more functional instead of just having to keep typing everything out. Now, Apple is finally adding a low power mode for iOS. So now when your battery gets down to about 20%, it'll give you a pop-up notification that will tell you that and also ask you if you want to enter a lower power mode, and you can choose to do that. And this is going to be changing like background app refresh and changing things that constantly need to push and activate in order to get information from your phone. But it doesn't actually like decrease your brightness automatically and turn off Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, which I would think it would be the first thing that it should do. And this could change by the final release. Now, Siri not only looks a little bit different, she's getting more useful. So say you're inside of a text message and somebody's asking you out to dinner. You can say, Siri, remind me of this when I get home, and it'll go ahead and read that text message and find that information, what you're talking about, and it'll make a reminder to get ready for dinner at 8 o'clock. And so you can pretty much do this anywhere. So if you're on Safari and you're reading an article, but you really have to go, you have to close your phone out and do something, you can say, remind me of this later on, and it'll go ahead and make a reminder for that website. And when you go into your reminders application, you'll see those reminders alongside the corresponding application icon, so you know exactly where this notification will take you. So if you tap on it, it'll go ahead and open up that article or open up that text message. And so Siri also can gather photos from certain times and locations, and you can ask it, "Hey, show me photos that I've taken in St. Louis in December," or something to that regards. Now, it's not as in depth as Google Photos is, where you can talk about snow and whether I'm at a baseball game and things like that. But it is useful for just gathering pictures very quickly and having a good chance of finding what you're looking for without having to dive through thousands and thousands of photos. Now, moving on, Apple is adding a trackpad to the keyboard in iOS 9. So if you use two fingers and you press them down on the screen at the same time and you start moving them, you'll be able to see the cursor move around the screen. This is pretty useful when you're typing something in a Word document application or just in notes as well. You can use that, and also you can use your two fingers to highlight certain information. So this is definitely easier than just trying to tap on a certain area on the screen. But now this feature does need a little bit of fine tuning because I still find it very hard to distinguish when I'm going to enter highlight mode or just the regular move around the cursor mode, but hopefully it'll get better. And Apple Maps. Apple Maps definitely did not get off to a good start, and they're slowly catching up by adding transit information now to Apple Maps. So if you live in a big city that uses trains or buses and a lot of other things a lot as the main mode of transportation for a lot of its citizens, this will be a very welcome addition to Apple Maps. All right, so that's most of the new features of iOS 9 running on the iPhone, but how is it running on the iPad? Let's go and see how that works. Now, you still have all the things that I've already showed you with iOS 9 on the iPhone on the iPad. Everything's pretty much the same, but since you do have a bigger display, you now have this kind of split view option, which is not really split view because it's not totally taking up half of the screen. But if you're in an application like Safari or in settings, you can swipe over from the right-hand side over to the left, and they'll give you an option to slide through a number of different apps. And when you select one, it'll take up that portion of the screen. So this is useful for very quick things because you can't work with both apps side by side. And I'll show you that here in a minute. But you can only just kind of quickly access, say I'm trying to get the directions to this location, and then I want to go back into whatever I was working on. That's what it's for. It's just a very quick type of switch and go back, switch and go back. But now if you really want to work with two apps side by side, you're going to have one of the bigger and newer iPads. And I'm working with the latest iPad that came out. And so this one will allow you to be able to split the screen straight down the middle, and you can actually work with both apps side by side at the same time. If you want, you can use both fingers and swipe around if you wanted to. But this is good if you want to watch a video, but also still work on a Word document. Now, this functionality doesn't really wow me because I've been using this on tablets and cell phones for years now, but it's good to see this come over to the iPad for people who use the iPad and want to get more multitasking power or actually get more than one thing done at the same time. Now, it just sucks that it's only available on the bigger iPads and not the iPad mini, which I think should have enough power to run it, but Apple elected not to put it on there. One feature that is available on all the iPads is to be able to have a picture-in-picture mode. So if you're watching a video, you can now shrink that video down and it'll take up just a very small portion of the screen. So you can still, swipe to your home screens or do something else and the video will continue to play. Now you can move this video into the four corners, and also you can swipe it off to the side. So you just see just a little sliver of it, but you can still hear the audio, or you can actually shrink it down a little bit more if you pinch in, or you can grow it out if you pitch out. If you just want to go back to watching the full video, just hit the buttons that are on the video section as well, or you can go ahead and close out that video. And then lastly, Apple will have their news app available, which will bring news in a Apple way. So it looks pretty sleek, the way you can scroll through your pages and information, how it's all laid out. But yeah, you have another news app you can use on your iPhone. So this is iOS 9. These are most of the major features. You want to see a full list of features or other things, you can definitely go to Apple's website and check it out. But I'm using it so far, and it's pretty stable. There are some bugs, of course, but this is a developer version. But when iOS 9 launches later this year, we could see more features. We could see some of these features taken out. Who knows? But definitely stay tuned to this channel. I'll make more videos and more content coming up on everything that Apple is announcing, and of course, everything else going on in the tech world. Like always, guys, thanks for watching this video. I don't want to keep you too long, and I will catch you later. Peace.